we needed a boat to get across here. And this is the form of travel across this very nice course, which at the moment, though, is less than wonderful. But I think the rain, clouds beginning to lift as they get underway.
Very clean start, and it looked to me like lane 5, Oppelt and Schmidt, the silver medalists from last year, got away quickest. Now we go across to Christian Huth and Stephanie Schiller from Germany in lane 3 as the leading crew qualifying for this final. So the Germany second crew in pole position, the first crew silver medalist last year in lane 5. There we have Qin Li and Liang Tian from China in lane 4, and they are the ones setting the early pace and in the lead by, I suppose, a canvas over lane 1.
Yes, just taking the semi-final times as a guide, about 4.5 seconds across the whole field, which is not a lot here, but this, of course, is the big race. This is the race for World Cup points. And
well, I think some of the races we've seen earlier on this morning, David, have been about finding out how the training program over the winter leaves you against the benchmark of the other crews that are known to be final caliber around you. This is, as much as anything else, about whether the partnerships are working. Double sculls are far more than the sum of their parts. You can get two perfectly good scullers who, in combination, can't go at all. And then you get others who are less efficient in singles, but who, in combination, go wonderfully well together. And so this pairing of Qin Li and Liang Tian is an old one. I mean, they've been around before, but they're a proven pairing, and it would appear that they've got a race plan and a fitness program that's put them close to the front already. Although it does show USA in lane 1, in lane 2 as leading at that point, and certainly lane 2 is leading now, so that has become clear, both from the 500-metre mark and from the course we can see.
That's interesting. Jennifer Kaido from New York, 24 years of age, in the bow, sitting in front of Ala Piatowski, a little bit older, from New Hampshire. Both of these women were, or the American women who have the edge at the moment, coming out of the women's squad that finished 5th for the United States a year ago. And I've got to say to you, this is not pleasant.
Frankly, if you're working that hard, you're pouring sweat and you're soaking wet anyway, so the wetness isn't at issue. What is at issue is whether you can keep a grip on your sculls. The old-fashioned sculling rubber grips in the hands were very slippy and slidey, and people would lose control in these conditions. But they've now got much better materials. Obviously, material sciences have moved on, and by and large, the threat of dropping your sculls is much less. What's interesting is the race develops, and we're settled now, coming up to 1,000 metres. United States, having shown well, slipping back a bit, and the Italians on the far side, Schiavoni and Sancassani, who've spent a lot of time together, got a lot of background in training, a lot of mileage, which makes champions, looking a bit stronger there, but China still in the lead.
I was going to say, actually, also, Hugh, you can see from the spot on the camera lens, the actual rain is actually driving into the cameras, not into the faces of the athletes, which I suppose is fairly merciful at this particular moment. As we come to the half distance, 1,000 metres in this first World Cup regatta of the season, and it is China with just over half a length over the United States, then Italy in third, Germany's second crew, Christiane Huth and Steffi Schiller, going through in 4th place. So work for Britta Oppelt and Suzanne Schmidt to do, the silver medalist from Berlin from last season.
The Hungarians in lane 6 have slipped back. They made a great flourish to make this final yesterday. They had a wonderful race, it has to be said, but one feels that they left the final behind them during the semi-final.
Well, the Chinese we saw in Eton last year, they really, really made their mark. It was inevitable. We knew that it was going to come, and we know that they are going to be very serious contenders across, I would suspect, more categories than maybe they've even shown so far when we get to the Olympics in Beijing.
What the Chinese squad is, which is different from other squads, is rather than having half a dozen key athletes around whom you build all your boats and take risks about how far you can go by spreading them without losing the quality of the mix, they have an enormous squad, and it is absolutely not clear who the top 6 are, because I think it changes quite a lot. It's very competitive to get into, and you have no idea from the Chinese boatings here what their strategies are. Are they going to put primacy on the 8? Are they going to put primacy on some small boat? If it's a small boat, is it going to be a pair or a double? You just don't know, which makes it interesting.
Well, this is a worry here for Britta Opelt and Suzanne Schmidt, because they really are getting left behind here in lane number 5, and all the actions over on the far side of the course. The Italians, Schiavone and Saccasani in third place. The Americans counter-attacking now, Jennifer Kaido and Ala Pitofsky, along with Christiana Huth and Steffi Schiller, and those two are the ones who are trying to close what is an ever-widening gap to the Chinese.
Indeed, but Opelt and Schmidt, who you referred to earlier as World Silver medalists last year, they're crossing the line there, and at the bottom of the screen in the red boat. They're not at this race. They're paddling along. They aren't really sharp in, and I don't know whether they're acting under orders or they've got some personal problem or whatever. But they're not at the races in the way that the other crews are. There they are in picture now, in the red boat, and this is an afternoon stroll. It's not a race the way they're taking it, and I don't think that. They can be under orders to be aggressive if that's the way they're rowing this race, although they're beginning to come back into the field. But
I was going to say they're just beginning to make a move.
It's creeping rather than flashing.
And now getting up to the Italians on the far side in lane 1, but still contesting second and third places at the moment are America, 2 from the top of your picture, and Germany.
It's 200 metres to go. Oh, that's the 250-metre mark in the background there. I misread it. Actually, Schmidt and Opelt, having told you how they're not going to do it, are creeping back. And funnily enough, because they've been so easy earlier and so low stress earlier, they may have more left in them, and it may be that they can squeeze out the Americans. But this is the crew, the double, that is sculling beautifully together. Look at the synchronicity of that double, and have much open water. Now we've got 3 boats for 2 medals.
Indeed we have, and Jutta Lau, the coach who commands the German women's sculling squad, will be looking at this eagerly, because suddenly you can see, exactly as you said, Hugh, that Britta Opelt and Suzanne Schmidt have got the energy, but have they left themselves just a little bit too much to do, I wonder? Whoa, that is very tight. China take the goal, but have the German number 1 crew actually nicked second place on the line? I think they have, from the United States, and left Christiana Huth and Steffi Schiller off the podium.
And that Germany 1 crew was in 5th place at 1,500 metres, so they moved up 4 places to second, as we see there in the 4 seconds adrift of China. But
it's actually America in 4th place. So it looks as if
Germany 1, Germany 2.
Germany 1, yeah, indeed. Here we can do. Well, at the bottom, Germany 1, and then Germany 2 in the middle, and yes, the yellow boat with the Americans just losing out.
We must not be deceived by this line, which, if you translate it onto the water, would be about 2 feet thick, and not quite at the right angle. It is for illustrative purposes only, but I think it gave us the right call there, didn't it?
It did. Not to complain. We're actually not on the finish line, so visually looking out of the commentary box here, it's absolute, and we're also at a rather strange angle to the finish line. So visually, I have to say, it's impossible for us to judge a finish like that, unfortunately.
Apart from the fact we haven't got windscreen wipers on the box, so we can't see a lot anyway. The television is telling you the same things that it's telling us, and China first by a very, very accomplished piece of sculling. It's a well-rehearsed crew, this, but that's the first time they've moved quite so securely to the front of the double sculls field, so long dominated by the New Zealanders, Eva Swindell sisters.
Confirmation then of the finishing positions and times in the women's double sculls.